Okay, be real with me for just like 1 second here. Can you tell which one of these, if we face them forward, which one of these is the real Logitech webcam and which one's the, well, okay, if you can't, you're dumb because this one says Logitech on it. But if I move them fast, can you tell which one's the Brio and which one's the cheap Chinese knockoff? Like these guys, they're definitely going for a look here. Good job, China. Real talk for a second here, guys. The webcam industry is, I don't want to use the word embarrassing, but I'm gonna use the word embarrassing. This camera, well, let me grab another one, hold on. These two cameras are the most popular webcams right now. And this one is about 160 bucks on Amazon right now, I just checked. And it was released 3 years ago. This one is about $50 to $70 on Amazon, depending on the day. And it was released 8 years ago. 8 years ago, and it's still the most popular webcam among streamers. Literally, 1, 2. Could you imagine what phone came out 8 years ago? 2012 with the iPhone 5? I wanna say the iPhone 5. I'm not even gonna check. Sure, iPhone 5. Could you imagine if the iPhone 5 was still known as like the best smartphone? I don't think it was ever known as the best smartphone, but like, anyway, you get my point. Could you imagine if everybody was still walking around with iPhone 5s? That's what the webcam industry is right now. And it's not just like there are other options, like more webcams have come out that are better, but they've been marketed poorly, so nobody knows about them. Like, I've tested more modern webcams, like Razer tried to come out with the Keo to fight this thing, and it was double the cost. Didn't look any better, even though it came out like 5 years later. It's just nobody is making webcams, and camera technology has improved so much. What are they doing? Anyway, I had a thought the other day. It was actually the whole last thing I said was my thought the other day. And I figured there has to be modern tech, whether it's in like mass marketable products, there has to be like cheap Chinese webcams that have come out in the past, year or two. Turns out there are. Actually, turns out there are a lot of them. That's what this one is right here. And so I bought 3 of them, and I wanted to see if there was any comparison. If it is worth ditching the 8-year-old webcams, and if you're on a budget, picking up a cheap Chinese knockoff until you have the funds to get yourself a solid webcam. So that's what we're gonna do today. We're gonna test 3 webcams. I looked for very specific things on these webcams, which I'll tell you about. Two main things. You know what, I'll just tell you right now. I looked for 1080p, and I looked for a 90-degree field of view, because that's actually one of the big differences between the C920, the $50 webcam, and the Brio, the $160 webcam. Yes, of course, there's the 720/60, 1080/30 versus the 1080/60 and 4K/30. Those are the numbers everybody cares about. Not the most important thing. The most important thing is the fact that there is an upgraded image quality. It works much better in low light, gets much more accurate colors. Also, you get a wider field of view, so you're not staring at someone's hair to their chin. You actually get to see more of a body shot. You get to see more of the room behind them. It's important, especially while streaming, or most of the stuff that you do with a webcam. That extra field of view going from 72 degrees to 90 degrees makes a big difference. So again, looked for 1080p and looked for 90-degree field of view. Found 3 Chinese webcams, all of them cheaper than this cheap one that had those 3 things. 3 things? 2 things. And with those webcams, I want to test 3 things. I want to test quality. How does it compare to the Logitech fancy American cameras? I want to test control. If it doesn't look great right out of the box, does it give you software? Can you adjust the gain? Can you adjust the color contrast? Can you adjust all those things? And I want to test reliability, because the last thing you want to do is have a nice looking webcam that freezes every 30 minutes. We're going to look at those 3 things. We're going to see if it's worth cheaping out on your very first webcam to get much better quality until you can afford a nice big boy camera. Cool? Let's do it. First thing, this video is sponsored by Owned.tv. If you're looking for a one-stop shop for all your stream aesthetic needs, panels, overlays, camera borders, even profile pictures and banners, whatever you need, Owned.tv is the place for you to find that for a super affordable price. For example, if you take a look at Glitch, which is one of my favorite overlay packages, by the way, you can see that every single portion of it is completely modular. So let's say 10 people that happen to buy the Glitch package, or maybe your team does. You can all use different portions of the overlay to mix and match, and yours will always be unique. So if you're ready to make the smart move like many of the community have already done, visit the link down in the description below, and please use code ALPHA at checkout. That code is good through the end of January, gets you 60% off, and it supports the channel. Oh hey, and real quick, shot this next part with this newer microphone, and actually had a lot of audio issues with it. Didn't know until the editing table, so sorry. All right, all 5 webcams are on top of here. Only 4 of them are plugged in because for some reason, when I plug a 5th one in, another one, like I plug in the Brio and another one of these just stops working. I feel like I'm maxing out the USB bus bandwidth. So I can only plug in 4 at a time, but we're gonna take a look at them here. Cheapo cam number 1. Cheapo cam number 2, that's zoomed in. Cheapo cam number 3, this is the one that looks like the Brio. And the C920 are the 4 that are plugged in, and right off the bat, I'm a little concerned because the C920 is supposed to be a 72 degree field of view, and 1 and 3 were the most zoomed in. Two here has like a crazy zoom in, which I mean, if this is 72 degrees, Cheapo Cam 2, it has to be, it's gotta be like 60 degrees. Can I check? I need to make sure these all actually said 90 degrees. Hold on. Okay, here's my Amazon order. You can see here's, this is Cheapo Cam 1, which was $27, Cheapo Cam 2, $28, Cheapo Cam 3, $42. All 1080p, 90 degree wide viewing angle, 90 degree wide viewing angle, 90 degree extended view. I don't think any of these are 90 degrees. Okay, I gotta get rid of the we're gonna get rid of the C920. Why don't we just get rid of that one that's like 60 degrees? We gotta unplug one so we can plug in the Brio. I wanna compare them to 90 degrees right away. This 90 degree field of view thing is already really bumming me out. Logitech Brio, let's make it 1080p. Okay, all right. This, first of all, 60 FPS there. Brio, 90 degrees. Definitely not 90 degrees. Oh my gosh, I got ripped off. Brio, 90 degrees. Okay, we've got a deficit here on the Chinese webcams. None of them are 90 degrees. So let's move on from the 90 degrees because that's just a kick in the pants. Let's move on to image quality. Let's see if we can get any of them looking just as good or better. Can we just get rid of this one? This is trash. No one wants a 60 degree web. We're getting rid of cheapo number 2 so we can plug back into C920. You are such a disappointment. Which one was this? How much did this one cost? This is the $28 one. I'm leaving a bad review. I'm leaving a review on all of them. Let's plug back in the C920. Serious betrayal. Okay, we're down to 4 cameras. We've got cheapo number 1, cheapo number 3, and then C920, which is frozen. There we go. C920 and Brio. Okay, this is the C920, 72 degrees. If you look at the background, this is 72 degrees. You can see the edge of the wall here and the guitars here. When we jump to this camera, you can see we get more of the wall and more of the guitars. So we are getting, it's interesting, it looks like they soften up the C920 so you don't notice the noise as much. Look how sharp, how they've sharpened the image here, which causes a lot of noise. But it's definitely wider than 72. It's not a full 90. Like this is the Brio, full 90. Maybe this is 75 degrees, a little bit wider. That's pretty wide. Let's put the Brio and this one next to each other. Maybe this one is actually 90 degrees. Hold on. Brio and cheapo number 1 are gonna be right next to each other. It looks, like if you look at the edges of again, look at the edges. It looks like it might be wide enough, but it looks like they've distorted where the wide angle is. As you get into the middle, you can see like on the Brio here, I'm further away. And on the cheapo cam, I'm closer, but we still get as wide of a view. It's almost like as you get to the center of the lens, it's not as wide. And then as you get closer to the edges, they start to expand that field of view there rather than evenly distributed across the whole thing, which is really interesting. So I think number 1 might actually be 90 degrees, just a very bad lens on it. Okay, let's move it back to where it was. Sam, are you capable of following along which cameras are which? And like labeling them, or is that gonna kill you? I wanna see if we can adjust some of these colors here and if we can improve the image quality, again, just to make it worth it. Because if we can make either of these cameras look better than the C920, it still makes sense to be an early purchase. Let's start with this one, cheapo number one. This is the cheapest camera. This is a $27 one that we picked up. So we're gonna go to the properties, go to configure video. Here we've got our pretty standard controls over here. Camera control. I'm surprised it doesn't let you lower it. It still looks like it's a tiny bit washed out on my face. Let's go to the white balance. The white balance is auto. Let's turn off auto because auto white balance on this thing is bad. Let's bring up the warmth. That's not looking bad at all. What we're aiming for is making this thing look better than the C920. If we can, let's toss up that contrast a little bit. Too much. Let's lower the brightness a tiny bit. That's not awful. It's still not great, but it's a $26 webcam. What happens when we crank the sharpness? Yes, so you notice you crank the sharpness and that noise just starts to stand out in the background. That's turning up the saturation a teeny tiny bit. A little too much, bring it down. Okay, let's compare it. C920, cheapo cam number one. It's definitely got a little bit too much green in it. Hue, let's see if we can pull some of that green out. Okay, this is where we were at. Bring it that way a tiny bit. Hey, that's pretty dang good. C920 still a little bit sharper, a teeny tiny bit sharper. You can see details on my face a little bit more. Look how smooth my forehead is, which, you know, it's not the worst thing in the world. You get a little more wrinklage on my dome here. I'm gonna call that one a success. That's cheapo number one. Skip to cheapo number three here, which is just insanely sharp. Let's see what we can do with this coloring here. And it's also really, really red. Now this one's a little bit wider. This one is clearly, by the way, these two definitely have, so this is claimed to be 90-degree field of view. It's definitely 72. This one looks like it might be 75, 76-ish. Okay, let's get to those colors. Turn down the sharpness. Yeah, it's just obnoxiously sharp. Let's cool off the white. Oh, that helps a lot. Just that white balance a little bit. Get rid of that, like it was up here, really orange. Bring down the temperature. That's what this number is, by the way. This is temperature in Kelvin. All right. Again, compare this with the C920. It's kind of up to you guys. I think this is gonna be personal preference. If it were up to me, I think I'd get this cheapo cam just over the C920. Obviously the Brio, we even gotta adjust the color on the Brio. What are we doing here? Let's see how good we can get the Brio to look, and then let's compare it, all right? Let's bring in some warmth here. I can't change the hue? I can't change the hue of the Brio. Interesting. Cheapo cam. This is cheapest cam. How much was this one again? Okay, this is $27 camera, $42 camera, $50 camera, $170 camera. I'm gonna be real with you guys. I think if I were starting from scratch and I was on a serious budget, so far in terms of quality, I would go with cheapo cam 3. They all have generally the same controls, except for the Brio doesn't let you change. It doesn't let you change the hue. What's up with that? It's probably secondary software. One of my biggest problems with Logitech webcams is their software for controlling it. Every time they update it, it gets worse. Yeah, I'm gonna go with cheapo cam 3. If I'm sitting back here, right? We got a widescreen thing going on, or maybe I'm playing a game and we're chilling and it's this big. That looks really good. If I'm gaming and that's in the corner, camera's usually about this big. Look at that. The last thing we need to test though is reliability. That's my biggest concern with these, because these are not made by a reputable company like Logitech. These are made by some Chinese manufacturer and then just sold for as cheap as possible. So I'm worried that every 30 minutes these things are just gonna freeze and shut down. So here's what's gonna happen. Tomorrow on stream, I'm gonna plug this in on the side as like a view of my stream setup. And I'm gonna keep each one going about 2 hours. So I stream like 4 to 5 hours at a time. And we're gonna see if there are any hangups throughout the stream. I'm not gonna tell the stream what those cameras are. They're just gonna be there. They're just gonna be running. And I'll switch to them every once in a while to make sure they're still working. Cool? All right, I'll see you guys tomorrow. All right. What did we learn? What do we think about this piece of glass? All right, here are my thoughts. I'm really unimpressed right now at the state of webcam technology. If you look how far phone cameras have come in the last 5 years. We're still using 8-year-old cameras, and it kills me. But the good news is both cameras lasted just fine. No hangups, no freezes, no anything through the entire 5-hour stream. I did have a weird issue with this one, cheapo number 3. Every time I would plug in a new USB device, this thing would freeze. All I had to do is go into the properties, click deactivate, reactivate, and it was good to go again. But just something for you to be aware of. But I guess at the end of the day, you know, should you buy one? Here's the deal. On a scale of 1 to 10, let's start with the Brio being the best. I mean, I'd probably rate the Brio a 6. We'll give it a 6. Based on where I think webcams should be nowadays and where the Brio is for its price, I'm gonna give it a 6. Logitech C920, I'll give it a 3. The cheapo number 1 camera, I'll probably give it a 2. I might push it up to 2.5 just because it's half the price of a C920. It definitely doesn't look as good as a C920, but you watch the video, you know what the footage looks like. And if you're okay with that, you're okay with really tweaking around some settings and getting some good lighting, I mean, it was like 26 bucks. Now with cheapo number 3, this one definitely being the one I gravitated towards, I wanna also give it a 3, same as the C920, but understand this, different streamers have different needs. There are situations where I would definitely tell someone to get a C920. Its colors are better. Its smoothness and clarity, skin tones are better. But this one having a very different but semi-decent color and definitely something you can adjust and bring to something looking pretty normal, and having that slightly wider field of view. That makes a big difference for me. I really like the wide field of view shot, and it being maybe 4 or 5 degrees wider, I would probably use it for my intermission screen. If you can take something 5 degrees wider like this and move it back just a couple inches, you're getting a massive improvement in field of view. And you guys know my stream, you know on my intermission screen, I have a super wide field of view. It's something I get a lot of people asking me about, and I'm a huge fan. It's a really cool look. For 40 bucks, $10 cheaper than the C920, $40 cheaper than the C922. It's gotta be on you, but I can't tell you not to buy it. I mean, cheap non-name brand tech is always a scary suggestion to make. I mean, who knows, this thing could just stop working in 2 weeks. You have no one to contact except for hopefully Amazon if it's within the 1 month period. But look, here's what I'd say. If you're looking for a separate camera for intermission, something fun, something cheap to try out and explore, absolutely. If you're looking for something super budget while you save up for a nice camera, absolutely. Or if you literally have $26 to spend and nothing else, yeah, pick up cheapo number 1. It wasn't the worst thing I've ever seen on Twitch. That's my recommendation for that camera. Guys, if you enjoyed this video or want to see more, want to ask me questions, feel free to jump into my Twitch channel. I stream every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, twitch.tv/HarrisHeller, link in the description down below. Or if you want to talk to other streamers about this, we got about 40,000 people in the Discord, discord.gg/alphagaming. Also link to that in the description below. And as always, guys, happy streaming. You ever see that one scene from Fiddler on the Roof? Know what I'm talking about? That one scene from Fiddler on the Roof?